Okay, hey guys, this is Heeral, and in today's video, I'm going to be speaking on how to solve anxiety in the long term from a spiritual perspective. So, the first thing we need to do to discuss this topic is identify the root causes. So, the root causes for anxiety is going to be limiting beliefs and suppression of expression, which is basically means you're not allowing some emotion to flow through the way it should. And the solution to this would be accepting your thoughts and allowing of all emotions. So let me give you some examples. So a lot of us have limiting beliefs in our life. So I'll give you an example. So we have beliefs that we need to have a certain size house, we need to be driving a certain car, we need to look a certain way, our partners need to look a certain way, something about our lifestyle needs to be like this or it can't be like this. So what we need to do is those thoughts that we have, there's some kind of fear attached to them. So fear of not having a big house, fear of not having a big car, fear of not having this or that, or fear of having this or that. What we need to do is we basically need to accept those fears. So now you might be wondering, oh wow, if I accept those fears, won't they come true? And the answer to that is no. So we've been kind of trained that way, but by accepting those fears, basically you're no longer living out of fear. Yeah, you're still responsible for making those things happen, but when you're no longer acting out of fear, you're acting in a much more grounded way, which is going to reduce your anxiety. Another thing here is suppression of expression. So we have all kinds of emotions, and as a society, they like to tell us basically you should feel a certain way or you shouldn't feel a certain way about certain things. And if you shouldn't feel a certain way about something, but you do feel a certain way, like for example, certain previous relationships or certain relationships right now, or if you do feel something that you quote unquote shouldn't, most likely you're going to put some kind of judgment on that emotion. And when that judgment comes for that emotion, you feel guilty. And when that guilt comes, that's going to cause a lot of resistance in your mind, and it's going to cause a lot of anxiety. So the best thing you want to do is you want to allow those emotions. You want to fully feel those emotions. Now that does not mean, let's just say you feel a bunch of anger about a certain situation, or you feel XYZ emotion about something that you act out of emotion. No, you're feeling the emotion, but how you act from a grounded way is on you still. So I just want to make that point clear. Now, you might be wondering, why I'm throwing around the word resistance a lot. So anxiety is obviously the root causes are your beliefs and the emotions that you suppress, but these two things when combined together over time creates resistance. And I'll kind of give you an analogy to compare this to. So when it comes to your physical fitness, if you're eating too much sugar and carbs and stuff like that, fats, you're gonna put on a lot of fatty tissue, a lot of fat, you're gonna get overweight. So that's similar here. You keep piling up limiting beliefs and suppressing a bunch of emotions, a bunch of resistance is going to pile up in your mind, which is what's going to cause the anxiety. Now, as you implement these solutions to take care of these root causes, that resistance will slowly go away over time and your anxiety will slowly go down. But it's not an overnight thing. Just like getting in shape, it's not an overnight thing. You're not going to drop 200 pounds by tomorrow, most likely. So just want to make that clear that most natural change occurs gradually over time. Now, suppression of emotion, there's one other point I want to add to this, is that when you suppress something, it doesn't go away. There's a quote, what you resist persists. Any thoughts or any emotions, and you guys can notice this in your own personal life. Anything that you try, any thoughts that you try to get rid of, any emotions that you try to get rid of, they're not going anywhere. What you resist persists. They just keep festering like a virus in your brain, and it's just going to make everything worse. It's just going to keep adding more and more resistance because your mind is basically using that fear as fuel. So you want to accept those fears, you want to accept those emotions, you want to accept those thoughts, and once that happens, your resistance will slowly go down. The level at which you're adding new resistance will go down, and you will notice your anxiety will improve a lot. Now, these are kind of like the higher level root cause and solutions, but I'll kind of just give you some things to stop and some things to do in your day-to-day life to kind of start seeing progress if your awareness is a little bit lower. So one thing to stop, the biggest thing I'd probably say is social media. Why? Social media is basically the biggest fuel to the fire when it comes to limiting belief. Each time you look at a post on social media, most likely you're enhancing some kind of limiting belief in your mind. You're basically telling yourself that your looks are not good enough, your lifestyle is not good enough, something about you is not good enough, something about your life is not good enough. Each time you look at a post, you're subconsciously or consciously adding on to some limiting belief. And most of us have multiple apps, so once you rotate throughout the apps multiple times a day, you're basically keep piling on limiting beliefs. And if you're not aware of this, it can really cause a lot of resistance, which is what's going to increase your anxiety. Another thing we can do is unhealthy food. So you are what you eat, and I'm going to explain that in a second right here. So when you eat unhealthy food, that's basically going to lower your level of consciousness, because your body is taking in that unhealthy food and it's basically spending so much energy dealing with that food that it's not able to be aware or conscious of your limiting beliefs or your emotions that you're suppressing. So it's not able to make you aware of them so that you can deal with them. So I'd have unhealthy food as well. Unhealthy people, so toxic people, well, most likely they're adding some kind of resistance to your life. They're either adding directly some kind of limiting beliefs or causing you to suppress some kind of emotion, or let's just say there's some people that just basically, when it comes to social settings, that gossiping is their primary kind of thing to do. When you do that, basically, whenever you form any kind of judgment of others, you're forming a judgment about yourself, either consciously or subconsciously. So when you're judging yourself, you're basically just adding a bunch of limiting beliefs to yourself. So I'd also avoid unhealthy video. So for example, if you're watching some kind of video on a streaming service, let's just say a really good show or something like that, most likely also you're adding some kind of limiting belief, or you're suppressing some kind of emotion. Most likely it's a limiting belief because you're seeing this person, the actors are probably, look a certain way, most likely really good because of, they're actors, and the videos have been edited, they have a certain amount of makeup on, etc. So you're comparing yourself to them. Most likely either the people in the videos, their lives are either really good, their portrayed lives are very good, and you're kind of subconsciously comparing yourself to them, or consciously judging yourself and seeing how your life is compared to their portrayed life. Or let's just say their life is really bad, and then all of a sudden, the movie you're watching just turns it around like that. You see that and you're like, wow, how can I turn my life around like that if your lifestyle is a little bit subpar? And most likely you're not going to be able to go from, your lifestyle is not going to go from 0 to 100 by tomorrow. Like in the movie, it's going to happen like this, but in real life, it's going to take some time. Like most change is gradual, most natural change. So that's that. Now, some things we can do though to help kind of limit some of these root causes and implement some of these higher level solutions. The main thing you can do is meditate. So meditation is going to increase your awareness and consciousness, so that way you can see what thoughts you need to accept and what emotions you need to allow. Once you do that, your resistance will just start going away like this, and you'll notice your anxiety will start going down a lot, and you'll be living your day-to-day life less out of fear and more out of groundedness, which will ideally make you happier. The other thing that we can do is yoga, and I'm actually going to tie in yoga, fresh air, and sunlight together. These three are basically going to, and I'm actually going to add in healthy food as well. These four are going to increase, going to allow you to increase your consciousness and awareness, because your body is kind of getting the energy that it needs, and it has more energy to direct towards being aware of the thoughts and emotions that you need to allow. So these four can also make your meditation much better. Now, I'm also going to very quickly, before I end this video, talk about meditation. So when you meditate, I've heard some people say basically, when they meditate, they try not to think about certain stuff. You should never do that, because like I said, what you resist persists. You want to allow whatever comes up to come up, and most likely the stuff that comes up is the stuff that you need to deal with. So whatever thoughts, negative or positive, that come up, you're going to want to accept them, and you're going to want to allow them. And like I said, if you accept or allow certain things, that doesn't mean, you got to act all, you got to act a certain way afterwards. You're just no longer living out of fear, or you're no longer living out of certain lower emotions, and you're able to live much more grounded and rationally. So that's it for this video. Hopefully this is going to help you with if you're suffering from anxiety. Like I said, this was a purely more of a spiritual way of looking at anxiety. So if this helps, which I know this has helped many people in my life, which has inspired me to make this YouTube video, please try to implement some of these things. And if you have any questions, please let me know. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.